Let's talk about atom structure. Grab the Cornell note sheet, either the bare bones ones with nothing in the middle or the one that is guided. Here's a picture of an atom. This is called the nucleus. And then there's a cloud out here. And this is where all the electrons are found. And you can see here that they're color-coded. There are 3 particles in an atom. There are electrons, there are protons, and there are neutrons. But the names of where they are is called the nucleus and the cloud. There is a periodic table in your planner, so I want you to pause the video and look for that, because you can use that too, but for the exercises today, you will use the one that I provided to you because some of the numbers are a little bit different. This is the same periodic table that we looked at in the other video, and each element, which is a pure substance, has a number at the top, a letter, the actual name, and then a number on the bottom. So each one of these, you can tell that here's 1, 2, and then going across, lithium is 3, 4, 5, 6, and all the way across these are increasing. So there has to be some rhyme or reason why they have these numbers here, and why, if you look here at the little numbers too, these are called the atomic mass, the mass of one atom of that element. Those also increase as you go across. So pause the video, take a look at that, look at the one in your planner, or look at this one. Alright, number 1, what is an atom? An atom is the smallest particle of matter and consists of a nucleus and a cloud. Where else have we talked about a nucleus before in science? Number 2, what are neutrons? Neutrons have a neutral charge. They aren't positive and they aren't negative. They're just neutral. But they do have mass. Yes, it's probably really small, but they do have mass. So this is matter. Number 3, what are protons? Protons have a positive charge, P and P. That's how you can remember that. There's a P here, there's a P here. A positive charge, and it also has mass. Both of those are in the middle. That is called the nucleus. Okay, the next one, what are electrons? Electrons have a negative charge. Negative. These do not have mass. They're floating around in the cloud around the nucleus. So you might have seen an atom look like that, or they look like this, and they're just flying around. They're not stationary. They're not sitting in one spot. They're always moving around the nucleus. So looking back at the periodic table, each element has its own little cell, and they have a number here and they have a number here. The mass number is this one. It's also called the atomic mass. The mass of the atom, of one atom of that element. So what is the mass number? add the number of neutrons and protons. This is the mass of one atom of that element. So if you think about it, it makes sense because we're looking for a mass number. What is the mass of it? How much stuff is in that little thing? Sure, it's going to be really, really small, but if you look back up here, we just said that a proton has mass and then a neutron has mass. All right. How do I use the atomic mass to find the number of electrons, protons, and neutrons? So this is where you're going to look at your periodic table, and each one has its own box. The top number is the number of protons, which is also the number of electrons, always. So you can remember P equals E, always, that number up on the top. Then it has the symbol, which is B for boron. And then the big number on the bottom, that is the mass number. So you do this little equation here that says the number of neutrons is equal to the mass number minus the number of protons. So if you think about that, N equals mass minus protons, or you could say protons plus neutrons equals the mass, because the protons and the neutrons have the mass. So it's a little bit of a math here, but you can figure that out totally. So this one here, you are always going to round it. If it's above 0.5, it's going to go up. If it's below 0.5, it's going to go down. So here, so here is the periodic table cell for boron. This 5 is protons, and it is also the number of electrons that are found in one atom of boron. This is the mass number. So you take the mass number, you subtract the protons, and then you find neutrons. So we do 11. Since this number is above 5, we round that up. It's 11 minus 5 equals 6. Let's try that again. So here is carbon. This is the protons. This is also the electrons. Here is the mass number of one atom of carbon. They hardly are ever found with just one atom. They're almost always bonded with one other thing. Okay, so we take 12. Since this number is less than 5, 12 minus 6 is 6 neutrons. We can look at this little picture here. In the cloud, we have electrons. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that checks off. Protons, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Oxygen. Pause the video and try to figure out how many neutrons are in oxygen. This number is greater than 5, so this is really 16. So it's 16 minus 8 equals 8. There are 8 neutrons. Did you get that right? 2 more. Let's try one that has a little bit more to it. Here is zinc. It has 65 as a mass number, and it has 30 protons, so it has 30 electrons. So we do 65 minus 30 is 35. neutrons. Cadmium. A little bit more math here. This number is less than 5, so we say 112. This is the mass number. This is the protons and electrons. I'm not going to count them there, but if you'd like to pause the video, you could count them and see if they're all in that cloud. 112 minus 48, that is 64 neutrons. And neutrons have no charge, they only carry mass. So when you get off of this, I want you to write your summary, at least 3 sentences, complete sentences, and then you're going to do the Google form, which is more of these calculations, trying to figure out from looking at one of the cells how many electrons, protons, neutrons, or the mass number for each one. And you need to complete that until you get 100%.